And a man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Missoula last night. Now, protesters are gathered outside the police department there. Our Spencer Schott joins us right now. And Spencer, what are these protesters calling for?
Well, Jason, these protesters out here in front of the police department are calling for transparency after last night's officer-involved shooting. They're also calling for the body camera footage and the names of the officers involved to be released. Earlier today, I talked to some neighbors in the area, and they shared this footage with me from last night. Take a look. The Missoula Police Department say they responded to a call on Sherwood Lane Saturday evening when the responding officers were immediately confronted by a man with a knife. He was told to drop the weapon, but instead of complying, he attacked the officer. Missoula Police Department say the officer then defended himself and shot the man, who was later pronounced dead. The Montana Department of Justice is taking over this investigation. I reached out to them earlier today for comment, but they have not gotten back to me yet. This is an ongoing investigation, and we'll bring you more information as it is available. Reporting live in Missoula, Spencer Schott, Montana Right Now.
And we'll be watching with you. Thanks so much, Mark. Well, protests continue in Missoula as new information is released about this weekend's officer-involved shooting.
Now, Spencer Schott has been following this investigation from the beginning since the incident this past Saturday. He joins us now with the latest.
Ben, Angelo, these protesters gathered outside the police station less than 24 hours after the shooting on Saturday, demanding transparency from the department. And tonight they're taking their concerns straight to the Missoula City Council. Signs in hand, these protesters are calling for the names of the officers and their body camera footage to be released.
The neighbors of Missoula, grant them the authority to protect us. And when that authority is abused, it is our responsibility to hold them to account.
Their concerns filled the public comment section of Monday's City Council meeting.
We have absolutely no reason to trust that transparency will be exercised with regard to Cale Brown's murder.
I would just like to see the police to be held accountable.
No one deserves to die because they're having a mental health crisis.
As protests continue, the Missoula Police Department said in a statement on Monday they have released all the information they can during an ongoing investigation. Quote, "The Missoula Police Department is fully participating in the Division of Criminal Investigation. To allow the investigation to proceed impartially, we can only disclose limited information at this time." The Montana Department of Justice also released a statement today revealing more information about what happened Saturday night. They said officers were called to Sherwood Lane for a disturbance where they were confronted by a man with a knife. MPD identified the man today as 34-year-old Jesse James Cale Brown. Brown refused multiple orders by police to drop the knife, and an officer deployed a taser, but it had no apparent effect on the suspect. Brown reportedly attacked one of the officers, who then shot him, and Brown later died at the scene. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help the family with funeral costs and for home repairs. Reporting in Missoula, Spencer Schott, Montana Right Now.
Thanks so much for that report, Spencer. MPD says that they will be holding a press conference this Thursday to discuss further details that can be released at this stage of the investigation.
We have an update tonight on the officer-involved shooting that left one man dead in western Montana last Saturday. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ben Weinman.
And I'm Angela Marshall. Today, Missoula Police Chief Jason White provided more details about the officer who fired a weapon in that incident. Now, the call came in last Saturday just before 5:30 p.m. for an assault at a duplex in the 2300 block of Sherwood Lane. Officers say when they arrived, they were confronted by 34-year-old Jesse James Cale Brown, who was armed with a knife. When he refused to put the weapon down, the officer fired Brown, who died at the scene.
Our Spencer Schott has been following this story all week for us. He joins us live from the Missoula Police Department tonight, where the Chief White provided an update on the investigation.
Ben, Angela, while we still don't know the identity of the officer involved in Saturday's fatal shooting, Chief of Police Jason White did give us more information about that officer. They've been on the force for over 5 years, and in that time, they have never received any disciplinary action or had any complaints filed against them. In fact, Saturday was the first time this officer ever had to fire their weapon on duty. White also gave us more details about the timeline of this case. He said when officers responded to the assault call, they had to escort the family out of the house for their protection, as Brown continued to assault the responding officer by throwing a chair and advancing towards the officer with a, quote, substantial kitchen knife.
The officer discharged his taser in an effort to stop the assault on him. The taser was ineffective, and Mr. Brown continued his assault on the officer. Fearing for his own life and safety, the officer fired 4 rounds from his department-issued weapon.
It is still unclear how many of those rounds hit Brown. Other evidence, such as the autopsy report and body camera footage, are still being held by the Department of Criminal Investigation. DCI will continue this investigation, but once they finish, all evidence collected will be handed over to the Missoula attorney. Reporting live in Missoula, Spencer Schott, Montana Right Now.